For every mechanic, this is the most nervous part of the video, is after you do some engine work and then you go to start it. Hey guys, welcome back, Hometown Auto Repair. Today we have a 2016 Honda Pilot in the shop, and we are going to do a timing belt service. Now, if you are doing a timing belt service on your 3.5 Honda, this is a perfect video for you, because I'm going to take you on a step-by-step procedure on how it's done, and also give you a few pictures and graphs to show you the timing marks. So let's get right into it. Okay, the first thing it wants you to do is drain the radiator coolant. Okay, you do have to remove this shield to gain access to the drain, which is right there, and there's just bolts that go through here and here. So let's do that. I like to put all of my bolts and fasteners in a bag. Okay, now it wants us to put it on top dead center, basically line up point A with point B. And then there's a little window, it looks like on the timing cover, that you line up mark A with mark B, and that's right there. So let's do that. Okay, we got to move these two pop rivets there and there to move this shield out of the way so we can see our timing marks on our crank pulley. I'm going to go ahead and take off this fender liner just because we can get easier access to all this. Okay, I got the timing mark lined up. Okay, I'm going to try to get you in here to show you the cam timing. It's going to be kind of hard. I don't know if you can see that. It should look like this through the window. I seen a number 1. When I had it spun the other way, there was a number 4. So that little number 1 there, and that line, they all line up, and your crank is lined up on its marks. Now it just wants you to take off the tensioner pulley for the accessory belt. Simple enough. I don't know if I can get y'all in here, but you just take a wrench and pry back on this lever and it'll loosen this belt, and you just take it off. It's a 14 to take off the tensioner. You just put a wrench on it and a medium-sized socket and wrench it off. It looks like there's another bolt way back in here on this tensioner, right through there. It's like a number 10. This is what it looks like off the car. So there's the number 10, it's way back here, and that's a 17. Now we gotta remove this bolt, the crankshaft pulley. Do not lose this little keyway that goes on this crankshaft. The little slit goes, it goes like this and in. See how it tapers up? Almost lost this, so hopefully it'll help you out. you can see there's a little taper on the far end of this. So like this way and in. Now it wants us to lift and support the engine with a jack with a wood block, because we have to take off basically unhook the battery, or support the engine with the jack, unhook the battery, and take off this engine mount. Easy enough. So you take off this clamp here, this big bolt, this ground cable, and these 2 bolts. And then you should be able to pull the mount up out of the way. Now it wants us to take off these 2 covers, upper cover remove, and then it says lower cover remove. I mean, it looks like it's just straightforward. Let's see. Okay, it looks like there's 4. And this cover right here, there's 4 bolts. You just have to get down there and look. 1, I see 1. I think there's 1 over there and 1 behind this. And then it's the same on this side. You can't hardly see because of this wiring harness, but there's bolts here and there's 1 there for sure. It's showing that there's 4 in each, or actually 5 in the left one and 5 in the right one. Okay, now you can remove your jack that's holding the engine up, because there's a motor mount down here and 1 on the other side. So it'll just sag a little and then raise the car, or if you don't have a lift, take off the bottom cover now. Let's do that. Looks like there's 7 bolts on the bottom cover. Let's take it off. Go ahead and take this spacer off and put a mark right here with a marker for your timing marks, so you'll know how to put the other belt back on. So now Honda wants you to take off the battery strap, remove 1 of the battery clamp bolts from the battery tray, and grind the end of it as shown, and use it to tighten down the tensioner. Hold the timing tensioner in the current position. Well, that's pretty cool. Let's do that. It wants you to grind the end of this down. I'm going to see if I can fit it in without having to grind it down, because it may mess up the threads and then I'll have to run a die over it. Okay, now we got to take off this engine mount, just 3 bolts. There's the bottom bolt of the 3 to the engine mount. That's what it looks like out of the vehicle. There's 2 on top, 1 on the bottom. Okay, I marked my cams too. If you can see that yellow mark right there, and there's 1 on this side too. Okay, now I want you to take off this idler pulley, which is this one right here. Okay, if you've made it this far, great. So what we decided to do is go ahead and do the water pump on this. I mean, we're already in there. I got a OEM water pump I'm gonna put on it. So if you're gonna do the water pump, they want you to take off the tensioner. If not, you could skip through this video a little bit until I'm putting the timing belt back on. But if you're doing a water pump, keep watching. So take off the tensioner. Basically, it looks like there's just 1 bolt. And you can see it right there. You take it off, it should come right off. Here's the tensioner when it's off the car, just 1 bolt. Okay, so to take the water pump off, you just have 5 bolts. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Probably want to put a catch pan under because there'll probably be fluid coming out. Even though we drain the radiator, a lot of it still doesn't come out of the block. Here's the bolts. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1 right up there. Okay, now we're going to put on the new water pump. It is a made in Japan water pump. Very Asian is the top quality. Very good parts. Anytime you're dealing with timing components, you want really good stuff. You don't want to forget when you put it in there to torque all these to the proper spec. 12 Newton meters or 9 foot-pounds. Also, make sure you clean everything. I've already cleaned it all with brake clean and paper towels and an air gun, and do it 2 or 3 times because this belt, this timing belt, cannot have any antifreeze or oil at all on it. Okay, we got to take off the tensioner now, then smash it down and put a pin through it so that we can put on our timing belt. And it wants you to use a 2mm or 5/64 pin. So we can use an Allen wrench for that, be perfect. There's 2 bolts behind this oil pressure sensor here, and then that tensioner will come off. Okay, I got the tensioner set up in the vise, and you basically move it in real slow and stick the pin in it, and it locks it in. There you go. Okay, now I'm going to put the tensioner back on. Also put a little bit of Loctite on all your bolts. You just need a little bit, not much at all. The bolts that go to your tensioner and your idler pulley to your timing belt, just about like that's plenty. That's good, because you do not want those vibrating loose. Okay, let's install this, and the torque pounds, foot-pounds is 19 foot-pounds on this bolt. Okay, this is how I did the timing belt marks. The old one, I marked the crank here and the cams there and there, and then I counted the teeth through here, and I counted them 2 times. So the teeth between here and here was 67, and it depends where you mark it. They may be different on yours, so don't go by these numbers, but the teeth have to match. I counted them once and I counted them twice and put a check mark while I marked the new ones. Make sure you count them 2 times and they're perfect. That's very critical. So now we're just going to put the belt on and line up the marks. Okay, we're going to install the timing belt now. It's really hard to film this stuff way up in there. That's why I just keep bringing you back and showing you clips. But let me show you what they want you to do. Refer to timing belt auto tensioner installation. Basically, all they wanted you to do is press that tensioner in and put the keyway in that we already did. So Next, it wants you to put the crank on top dead center, line it up with these marks. Then it wants you to put the pulley on the cam pulley on the right side. If you're facing the timing belt, line it up with these marks. And then the one on the left, line it up with these marks. And then it wants you to loosely install the idler pulley. Just hand tighten it, that way when you go to put the belt on, you can probably kind of move it around. Then it tells you basically to do it in a clockwise position, starting with the drive pulley, which is the crank pulley, and then go around. So start with this one, slide it on, slide it around that, then that. But where I have all of my marks, I'm just gonna, if you've marked it correctly, you can just line your marks back up. I always do that. It makes it so much easier and less guesswork. So I'm gonna put it on and bring you back. Okay, I got the cams lined up. There's the mark. You can't see that mark. And then the mark on the crank. Now it wants you to tighten the idler pulley, that bolt. It's on there loose to 33 foot-pounds. Yeah, 33 foot-pounds. Okay, now pull your pin out and you're good to go. Make sure all your timing marks are lined up. Okay, if you've made it this far, great. So all you gotta do now is basically put it all back together in reverse, put your engine mount on, bolt it on, put your covers on, put your motor mount on, put your fluids in. I may record a little bit of that, but I'll definitely record the startup and we'll be good to go. Okay, now we're vacuum filling the coolant system so we don't have no air leaks. It's sucking up the coolant or antifreeze, whatever you want to call it. Okay, we're ready for the big moment. I'm gonna crank this thing up. Okay. Hey, it sounds great. I'm gonna let it sit here and run a little bit, make sure the heater works, make sure there's no air in the antifreeze lines and you ain't got no air pockets or nothing. And I'm just so happy with the way this job went. So if you're happy, drop a comment down that section, say hi, say thanks for helping, or whatever you want to say. And I appreciate you guys watching, and check out some of my other videos. And if you liked it, give it a thumbs up, subscribe. I'm trying to build my channel and I appreciate all the support. Y'all have a good day.